I'm Dave Sampson, Chairman of the Sandwich Board of Selectmen. I'd like to welcome you to this morning's ceremonies as we dedicate and perform the ribbon cutting for our new police station and fire station here in town. We're going to open this morning with the national anthem performed by Sandwich Soul.
David, how you doing? How's things? Good?
Yeah, all around.
Good.
Say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of love?
Sandwich Soul members Kelly Murphy, Morgan Simmons, Evelyn Milburn, and Austin Tesla. Amazing job. I'd like to ask Selectman Vice Chairman and former Sandwich Police Chief Michael Miller to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just want to perform a few introductions this morning. Not with us this morning is Selectman Robert George, 48-year veteran of the Sandwich Fire Department. With us this morning, though, is Selectman Shane Hochter. Shane, right there. Former firefighter with the Hillside Fire Department from Rhinebeck, New York. And also Selectman Charles Holden, former chief of the Volunteer Fire Department in West Caldwell, New Jersey. I am the only selectman with no public safety credentials. There's also a number of former selectmen here this morning who helped make today possible. Frank Penorfi, Ralph Fataco, Susan James, Patrick Ellis, and John Kennan. I also want to acknowledge former Sandwich selectman and firefighter, the late Peter Bushman. We're also joined this morning by former chiefs from the town of Sandwich, including Police Chief Robert Werdy, former Fire Chief Dennis Newman, former Fire Chief George Russell, and former Fire Chief Bill Carrico. Thank you for coming today. This new public safety complex is a significant step forward in modernizing our town facilities. Our initial the Legacy Police Station was built in 1972 to serve the 9 members of the Sandwich Police Department. Today's department has more than 50 personnel, and we've more than maximized the use of the Legacy facility. This new modern facility has features for safety, compliance, training, and is inclusive of infrastructure that is designed to accommodate a modern police force of both women and men. I want to thank Chief Wack for your careful thought in designing this facility and your leadership in this initiative that will serve our community for a long time to come. Thank you. As part of this initiative, we've also made significant enhancements to our fire service. The relocation of Station 3 from Route 130 to this location significantly reduces emergency response times throughout South Sandwich. As part of of this project, the East Sandwich Fire Station renovation is now staffed 24/7 to better serve our residents of East Sandwich. The initial funding for that staffing was paid for through the SAFER grant sponsored by Chief Carrico. We've also relocated our fire department administrative offices from downtown, where they were at risk in the floodplain, to this facility here. Thank you to both Chief Carrico and Chief Burke for your hard work and dedication to making this vision a reality. I'd like to thank Mr. Dunham for his significant efforts on this initiative, and I would also like to thank former Assistant Town Manager Doug Lapp for the countless hours he spent ensuring this project was completed in the expected time frame and budget. Thank you both. Where's Doug? I would also like to thank the many department heads that were engaged in this project over the last 3 years, especially from our inspectional services group, including former building inspector Paul Spiro and current building inspector Brendan Brides. The facilities you see here today have been constructed with quality and engineered for efficiency. They provide safe, modern infrastructure for the men and women who put themselves at risk daily in service to our community. Thank you to the residents of our community for supporting this very important initiative. It is because of your dedication and commitment that projects like this are possible. The investment you have made will serve Sandwich for many decades to come. Thank you. There are many individuals that deserve recognition this morning. At this time, I would like Mr. Dunham to please come forward and say a few words.
Thank you, Dave. This is sort of like the part of the Academy Awards where they give out like the technical and engineering stuff. When the accountant comes out and said they have sealed envelopes in the back. It's going to be boring, but it's really important. And I'll try to make this as brief as possible, but there's really several people that need to be recognized. And if we could just hold any applause until the end. Some of this is going to be redundant to what Dave said, but it's really important. There's some special guests here today. State Representative Randy Hunt is in our presence. Senator Vinnie DiMacedo couldn't make it today, but has really been a constant supporter of the town of Sandwich through his service in both the State House and, the representatives and the Senate. Current and past members of the Board of Selectmen, which Dave had mentioned, I'm going to get to them in a second. And I think it's really important that our retired police chief, Bob Wearty, is here. Believe it or not, he oversaw the construction of the last town building that was built with debt. So we've come a long way, baby. I know retired acting chief Paul Harrington has been invited. I don't know if he was able to make it, but I want to acknowledge his service. Retired chief police Mike Miller, retired fire chief Dennis Newman. A great story on Dennis. 25 years ago, he and I called Hewlett-Packard, who then owned the property, and we asked them, could they donate 3 to 5 acres at the corner because we had this vision for a potential public safety location. Dennis had done all sorts of run studies on his own and determined that this was that made the most sense as a location for that. They told us no a couple months later. About 5 years after that, they said, hey, you want to buy the whole property? And the public of Sandwich voted, I think it was 78% of the public voted in support to buy this 83 acres. Thank God we did. Look at everything that's happening here. Retired Fire Chief George Russell, who literally worked for a decade to try to get us to where we are today. And then retired Deputy Fire Chief Tom Corriveau, who wrote the grant that Dave mentioned that allowed us to get the federal grant to get 8 firefighters. We never would have been able to open East Sandwich if it wasn't for that grant. It's the one service that the town had provided for many, many years that wasn't the same throughout town. So anyone who lives in that area after that repair was done as part of this project has reaped the benefits of his work. Members of various town boards and committees, several here, and all the staff that have contributed to make this day possible. It's not able to list everyone, but I'm serious when I say all of your efforts, everyone here, has not gone unnoticed, and it's truly appreciated. Reaching today's ceremony represents the work of scores of people who have helped plan, construct, and oversee and fund the project for more than a decade. And in recognizing those individuals today, I always worry that I leave some people out. So if I offend anyone, it's my fault. I'm sorry in advance. First and foremost, we need to start by thanking the citizens of Sandwich. The strong financial support that we received from the public for the appropriation made at town meeting and the subsequent ballot question was overwhelming and enabled us to complete these desperately needed construction projects and the renovations at our East Sandwich Fire Station. And we always say fire station, but let's be honest, it's an EMS station more than anything else. More than 3/4 of our services are to help people with medical needs, and that's mostly what we do. The Board of Selectmen, when you go inside each building, there's a plaque, and each board member who's been on the board since the time the project was first supported at town meeting is listed alphabetically. As Dave mentioned, it starts out with the late Peter Bushman. He would have gotten such a kick out of seeing the fire department and the improvements today. So we should all be thinking of him. Patrick Ellis, who's able to be with us today. Bob George, who couldn't be here. Linnell Grunman, who's in Washington, D.C., couldn't be here. Shane Hochter, Charlie Holden, Sue James, John Kennan, Mike Miller, Frank Panorfi, Jim Pierce, Dave Sampson, and Ralph Vitaco. I also want to thank the Finance Committee members through the years that the project has been presented to town meeting. Their support was really critical in getting us to this day. And I'm going to talk about the people that none of us really know unless you're really involved with the project who really made such a difference. First is our general contractor, Boston Building and Bridge. Charlie Penta, the owner, is here with us today, so I want to thank Charlie. Peter Leonard is in the back, probably wants the least credit, but deserves the most credit for what's been built. Thank you, Pete, for all your work. When you tour the buildings, which I beg you to do at the end to really get a look at them, the construction quality is outstanding. You know, any big project like this, there's bumps along the way, but every step of the way, we knew what Boston Building and Bridge was building was impeccable, and you'll see that. John McGonigal's here today. He's at every project meeting that we have. And then Frank Quadro was with us for 98% of the time, and wisely, thanks to him, retired about 6 weeks ago. Shortly after Doug left, Frank left. So we want to thank Frank for his efforts as well. Our architects from Castle Booz Associate, Todd Costa is in the back. Todd and I first got to know each other, I think about a dozen years ago, when we first looked at the concept of how do we plan for a public safety building, where should it be located, what size should it be, and many, many years later, here we are. And that effort started with KBA's, who's semi-retired, Michael McCune, who's here as well, principal of the firm. So we want to thank Michael for all the efforts through the years that he's helped Sandwich with, more so than on public safety. And then two other architects that helped us quite a bit. We're here for parts of the project, and then we're reassigned, Nick Schultes and Renee Coutreau. I really want to thank them for their service as well. And then one of the things that's required by state law, if any project is more than $1.5 million, you're now required to have an owner's project manager. And you might say to yourself, geez, it's another expense. Why do we need it? I can't tell you enough how much the owner's project manager looks out for the town of Sandwich and all of us, and really makes sure things are built well, contracts are followed, all the requirements are met, and they just do outstanding work. So Rick Pomeroy from Pomeroy Associates is here, Taylor McDonald, and also Bruce Hanna, who is, for lack of a better word, our clerk of the works for the project. Bruce and Pete Leonard, it's incredible how well they work together, and the majority of what you see was because of those two gentlemen. I want to thank them. Our building committee and project team, it's listed on the plaques inside the building. Former Assistant Town Manager Doug Lapp, Fire Chief John J.J. Burke, former Fire Chief Bill Carrico, retired Fire Chief George Russell, Police Chief Peter Wack, Police Lieutenant Jason Keene, Building Commissioner Brendan Brides, retired Building Commissioner Paul Spiro, who I spoke with yesterday. He wanted to be here, but he couldn't. He sends his best. And our Emergency Management Director, Brian Golan. That group, that core group, has met really for over a decade, again, to get us to where we are. There's someone else I really want to acknowledge again, and that's Charlie Holden. So what's strange is Charlie wasn't a selectman when we had to get the names for the plaque. And Charlie wasn't on the building committee when we started the project. But when Chief Carrico left, JJ wisely said, I could use some help with such a big task. Being a former fire chief from New Jersey, where he oversaw the construction of two buildings, when he was just a volunteer citizen, came and helped us. and made sure that we stayed on track. So it's a shame that Charlie's not on the plaque, but he's a selectman now, and he was on the building project team for really the last half of the construction project. I want to thank Assistant Town Manager Heather Harper, who's under the weather. She helped organize today's event, and she's been here for about 6 weeks. But most importantly, I want to thank Doug Lapp. When you look at the plaque, the first name is Doug Lapp's because he did the most work. Without a doubt, if you knew how much time he spent, how many laws you have to follow, it's natural that subcontractors fight with the general contractors, and we get freedom of information requests, all sorts of stuff, just constantly monitoring the budget, making sure things are done. Doug did it all. I cannot thank him enough. Almost done, I promise. Special thanks. When you see the police department, ask them to open the door to the IT section of the building. You've never seen so many wires and cords in your whole life. But Mike Toomey, the head of our IT department, Tammy Wise, and especially Dave McNeely, who I saw over here, the amount of work that they did to make the transition as seamless as it possibly could really is just staggering. Paul Tilton, our DPW director. This budget was very, very tight. We were desperate to get the fire headquarters and the offices added to the building. That was our first alternate. We had just enough money, but if we decided to do it, we were immediately cutting our contingency before the project started to about half of what it normally should be, but we realized how important that was. So constantly throughout this project, I tried to find if there was a legitimate way to pay a bill from another source, I tried to do it so we would get this done the right way. Paul Tilton stepped to the plate. We hadn't budgeted to repave the East Sandwich lot. It cost over $75,000. He stepped up on short notice, worked with a contractor, paid it out of their operating budget, and we wouldn't have been within budget if it wasn't for that effort, so I want to thank Paul. Our facilities directors, Ted Hamilton, who retired earlier this summer, and Brian Schlegel, who's taken over since then. The complexity of what's inside and what they're responsible for is really impressive. Deputy Police Chief Mark Nurse, if you knew how much time he spent doing, again, the technology, the radio tower that you see, another example where we took money from other sources by adding height. We're now going to go out to bid to try to get 2 or 3 cell carriers that will basically pay back the return on what it cost us to raise the tower in less than 3 years, if the bids come back like we think they will. Officer Mike Leslie, again, helped with the technology and the transition, so I want to thank them. And on the fire side, Deputy Fire Chief Tim McMahon, the move from all of the different stations to here for both Forestdale and the administrative offices at the headquarters, and our fire prevention officer, Sean Miller. Those people really went out of their way to go above and beyond. So I'm going to wrap this up. Again, thank you to citizens of Sandwich. If you look on our plaque, it's at the bottom in bold italics. Thank you to residents of Sandwich. Look what you've given us, and look how well we'll better be able to serve you in the future. And what we built today as a community is functional, it's economical, it moves the towns forward significantly in terms of our public safety and emergency management capabilities, and it's something that we can all be proud of for many, many decades. So now's the time for the applause. Before turning things over to Dave, internally on that project group that I said met every other week for years to get us to where we are. To speak on behalf of the project team, I'm going to ask Taylor McDonald to step forward from Palmer Associates. Again, Taylor was our leader. He organized the agendas, he kept us on task, and made sure things were done right. So ask Taylor to say a few words.
Thank you, Mike. First, I thought I was going to have a podium in front of me, so I'm not reading emails. I was going to try to hide my phone, but I usually don't print it out. So, good morning, everybody. It's a perfect day, and I think it's a perfect day for a ceremony such as this, for to turn a state-of-the-art facility over to the town. Any construction project is really as good as the construction team that you have. And it's no secret that this project has had its ups and downs. It was a bit delayed. But we stand here today very proud of what we accomplished and what we have to deliver to the community and to the fire departments, the police department. This team has really remained solid over the past 3 years, and you'll see that as you walk through the facility. An important part of our really management throughout the project was our critical budget management. And we were able to get items back into this facility, both facilities really, through that budget management. That included an administration wing for the fire department that was an ad alternate. Wasn't originally supposed to be part of the project. We actually got that in kind of last minute. The cell tower upgrades that Bud talked about. And really the communication equipment and radio equipment and security equipment that you see throughout the facilities is state-of-the-art. It's one of the best I've seen in any station we've done. And really take a close look at those portions because we spent a lot of time and energy, and Deputy Chief Mike Nurse had me pulling out my hair, but we got through it. So the team really starts with the town, and the taxpayers should be very proud of the dynamic leaders that they have. We work with lots of municipalities, and working with Sandwich has been one of our favorite. It really does shine through in the project. I wanted to say a personal thank you to Town Manager Bud Dunham, former Assistant Town Manager Doug Lapp, who, like Bud said as well, really spent countless hours on this project. Police Chief Peter Wack, Deputy Police Chief Mike Nurse, Fire Chief John Burke, former Building Commissioner Paul Spiro, Building Commissioner Brendan Brides, Charlie Holden, the BOS, and everybody else throughout the town that has lent a helping hand. It's really been a community effort. On the project side, I'd like to start with our public safety specialist, Castle Booze, the team of Michael McCune and Todd Costa. The contractor, Boston Building and Bridge, led by Charlie Penta, Peter Leonard, and John McGonigal, and Frank Quadro obviously finished that up as well. And lastly, my team of Pomeroy Associates, my partner Rick Pomeroy, and our on-site clerk here, Bruce Hanna. So congratulations to the town of Sandwich. These buildings will meet the needs of the departments and public for many years to come, and in our buildings we can all be proud of. On behalf of the entire project team, thank you for letting us be a part of it.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Fire Department Chaplain Joe Giampetro for the blessing of the facilities.
Good morning, everyone. Will you bow your heads with me? Heavenly Father, God Almighty, blessed are you, Lord, God of mercy, who through your Son gave us great example of love. As we dedicate these buildings to you and ask your blessing to be upon them, we first want to thank you for the many people, the minds, hands, and the hours that have brought these buildings into existence. We ask that you bless each one of them. Second, we ask that you, by your Spirit, would protect these facilities, protect them from the elements, the storms, the wind, the rain, snow, and yes, the lightning. Third, we ask that you bless these buildings as safe havens for our first responders each and every day. As they pass through these door frames, protect them on their way in, where they will be serving and protecting our community, and on their way out to their home, where they will join their loved ones. Send down your blessings on these servants. Grant them courage, wisdom, strength, and compassion in all that they do. We ask this all in your name, Lord. Amen.
Okay, at this time, we are going to move forward with the ribbon cutting here for the police station. And then we are going to have a bagpipe procession over to the new fire station where we'll perform the ribbon cutting. Mr. Lapp? No. Come on.
Scissors, anybody? Oh, that's good service. That's good.
Hi, get in there. In front of me, right?
Here's something my kids so I never have to be on the wrong side of that ribbon. Off to a good start.
I'd like to introduce Chief Wack to say a few words.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for coming today. It's a special day, of course, for us. And when I first got hired, one of the first things that Doug Lapp and Bud said to me is, "Are you ready? We're going to build a new building." And it's been 9 years, and it's been a long road, but I know there's a lot of people that have been thanked. I just want to really, truly thank Bud and Doug. There were a lot of challenging days and a lot of challenging questions, and this is the third rendition of the building that we went through, and they were there every step of the way. They had the back of the project's back the whole entire time. You know, one of the things that I saw in this project and I really wanted more than anything was a safe and efficient place for all the men and women, civilian and sworn, that work for the police department. That's both the IT folks, the clerical folks, the dispatch folks, and the police officers. Where we were before was not the safest location, and it definitely wasn't efficient. This has provided it for them, and long after my day is over, I'm happy to know that they have a safe and efficient place to work. I want to truly thank my command staff, and that goes back to the previous command staff of Lynn Gorley, Dave Gilmet, my deputy chief, Mike Nurse, my lieutenants, Jason Keene and Josh Bound. They were there every step of the way, and there were a lot of days where we had to make things happen. We had to keep running our old station, get this one up and running. We were here almost every single day, and a lot of people did a lot of things. My supervisor staff made the move into this building so efficient and so easy for us. And the officers, man, I'm glad I was able to give you folks a great place to work. So with that, I want to thank the residents, the taxpayers, the people that helped us foot this bill and get this project up and going. So again, thank you very much, everybody, for being here today.
I would offer just one more thank you. I know that there's a number of members here this morning from the Sandwich Citizens Police Academy, and I know that you also helped relocate a number of items from the downtown facilities up here. So thank you so much for volunteering, and thank you for your service. At this time, we are going to process over to the fire station for the ribbon cutting.